Hi crafty friends, Melissa Minor here. Thanks so much for joining me on my YouTube channel. I am so excited because today I get to play along with several of my crafty friends for our YouTube sketch hop. This is where we all come together and we use the same sketch and the same theme and create a layout. These are my friends and I will leave a playlist as well as a link to all of their channels down below. Be sure to check them out. All right, here is the sketch, and Joanne Bartel had picked this sketch out for us. I believe it's from Page Maps, and she gave us the theme of holiday. And so I have these two photos that I want to scrapbook, and this is Dale and I from last Christmas season, and we went to a Charlie Brown musical. He loves Charlie Brown, and so this was like the perfect gift. I also have these little buttons that I want to use. These were from Scrappin Happy Studio, and I called them buttons, but they're actually canvas flair. But I've been hoarding them. I bought them last season, and I'm really excited to finally use those. Okay, let's go ahead and get to creating this layout. So what I want to do is I want to create a mixed media background. I have some Shimmerz paints, and this is a Vibez in the color Cold as Ice, and I am just spraying it on this 12 by 12 cardstock. Now, this paper is not a mixed media cardstock, so it's really going to soak in. Now, I'm going to set that aside to dry. I want to mention I am on the Shimmerz Paints design team, so if you ever place an order on the Shimmerz Paints website, you can add my name, Melissa Minor, to the notes section, and Shimmerz will send you a free paint, and you can add that to every order you place, and each time you'll get another free paint. All right, so I am showing you this collection here. This is from Simple Stories, and I believe it's called Santa's Village. I got this last season, and I have every single piece of it. I've got the ephemera, I've got the stickers, I've got the 12 by 12 paper, I've got everything, washi tape. So I'm going to use this. I'm also bringing in a sheet of cardstock here from the scrapbook.com rainbow glossy cardstock in that bright blue. And the reason is because there's that blue behind Snoopy there, and I thought that that would really pop. Now there's no blue in this collection from Simple Stories, but I'm going to bring in this blue, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to bring it in with this glossy cardstock piece that I'm matting my photos on, and then I'm also going to bring it in another way in just a moment. So I am using some of the 6 by 8 paper as well as the 12 by 12 pattern paper for my layout today. Now when I'm creating scrapbook pages, I like that messy, distressed, mixed media look. So I am taking this edge distresser here, and I am distressing all of the edges of this pattern paper. This pattern paper is actually 6 by 8, and it was right out of that 6 by 8 paper pad, so that made it super easy. Now I do print all my photos at home. I have the Epson PictureMate 400, and so it makes it really easy to size your photos to whatever size you want. And in this particular sketch, the photos are 3 by 4 1/4, so that's what I printed my photos. All right, so I really like the way that this looks, so I am ready to go back to my layout and see what we can do here. Yeah, I think that's really going to look cute, and you see how I'm bringing in that blue with that mixed media. Now I'm also bringing in a stencil from my stash, and any snowflake stencil will work, and I have some Distress texture paste, and this is the sparkle texture paste from Ranger. And I'm going to use a little spatula here, and I am just going to add a little bit of this on to these snowflakes. So with this Distress sparkle paste, it's kind of like, I believe you call it translucent because it's clear, but you'll see a little bit of sparkle. So it's going to be a small detail that you'll see in person. It's not picked up very well on camera, but I'm going to go ahead and place a little bit of this paste up here at the top left, and then I'm going to move my stencil over, and I'm going to place it over here in this top right, and then I'll eventually move it down and pick up the bottom right. You know, there's that rule in scrapbooking, the rule of threes, and it draws your eye around the page. So I don't want to do the entire page, but I'm going to go ahead and where I have my spray, my Shimmerz Paint spray. I'm going to add a little bit of these snowflakes to each. Now, I will set this aside to dry for quite a while, and it's really important to go and clean up your area, clean up your stencil and your palette knife and everything right away so that it doesn't dry and harden onto your stencil. So this is a pretty delicate stencil, but I'm making sure to get good coverage with the paste. Now there's a couple places I'm going to go back in with my finger and just kind of fix where I got a little overage, and I think that's going to look really good. Now some of this is going to be covered up, but I think right now I love the way this paste looks. Now I did lose a little bit of footage. I went in with some Distress Oxide ink all around the edges. I used the Blueprint sketch, and all I did was I went around the edges with that Distress Oxide ink, and then I also brought in some more Shimmerz paints in the color, the Pearl. It's the Pearl. I love the names. The Pearl Next Door, and it's a glossy acrylic spray. It's a color splash, and it's got like a white but pearly finish. I used that, and then I also used whites of their eyes, and I just did some splattering on the background. So it's a really subtle detail, but if you see like little flicks of white in the background, that's where that's from. All right, now I need to decide which pattern paper that I want to use to go up and down the layout, like in the sketch. And then I also went off camera and created this little candy cane with a bow, and that is actually a cut file from Bramble Fox. So I'm on the Bramble Fox design team, and that's new to me this year, and I really love their cut files. If you haven't tried them, I highly encourage you to check them out. What makes their cut files so unique is that you can, like, the inner pieces cut as well. You don't have to do any thinking. It's just like, it's dummy proof, really. And I really like it. So anyway, if you have a more detailed cut file, you might notice it more, but I thought this cut file was so easy to cut. I mean, it really cuts in two pieces. There's no backing, if that makes any sense. All right, I decided on the trees. So when I think of Charlie Brown, I always think of a Charlie Brown tree. And in fact, some years I've said, hey, I've got a Charlie Brown tree, meaning I've got kind of a skinny tree. So that's how I decided on my pattern paper. This is a little outside my comfort zone. I am mixing and matching colors. I'm mixing and matching patterns, but I really like the way it's coming together, and it's surprising. All right, so I have my Charlie Brown trees there, and I did distress the edges of that pattern paper. And now I want to go ahead and place my cut file. So I'm going to arrange these candy canes. I'm going to mess with it here for just a moment because I really wanted it down here in this bottom right corner. I didn't want it to hang off the page, but then I also didn't want the candy canes to go over the photo. So it takes me a moment to figure out how to get these all arranged. And once I'm happy, I'll go in with my tacky glue and I will get them glued down. So I'm going to kind of hold it in place once I get it where I want it because I don't want to have to try to figure that out again. I'm going to go ahead and hold it down, and then I'll add my glue behind it. I will add a little bit of foam tape to the top of the bow just so that pops up above the rest. And I think this is the way I want it. Maybe a little bit down, just a little bit further for that candy cane that's going to go near my face. There we go. And there's the bow. I think that's so cute. So when we went to this play last year, I guess it's a musical, we had never been there before. It was in a town about 45 minutes away from us, but I had seen one of those Facebook advertisements about, it said it was a Charlie Brown Christmas musical. And so when I saw that, I knew I had to get tickets for Dale and I to go. So it was a chilly night in December, and we went and we absolutely loved it. I can't say enough good things about it. And the tickets were really cheap. I mean, when I say really cheap, maybe $5. So it was a cheap date night. All right, so I've got my candy canes arranged, and now I'm going to place my bow on here. And now what that bow is doing is it's going to leave me a place to put my Charlie Brown embellishment from Scrappin Happy Studio. So I'll bring that in just a moment. I'm going to add a little more glue here to the back. Now, what I was showing you is in the sketch, there was another piece of pattern paper over here off to the right. And I didn't know what to do exactly for this pattern paper. But again, I'm going a little bit outside my comfort zone, and I love these little branches. So they kind of go with the tree, and it kind of reminds me of that Charlie Brown theme again. Just little branches with a flower on them. So I'm going to go with this. And then it also brings in more of the red and also that like teal green color. So I liked that. So I'm going to go ahead. I just tore the edges of it. Now this is one of the 6x8 pattern papers. So I'm being able to use that, and it doesn't go all the way up or all the way down. It's kind of staggered. So I'm just going to add it right here. And I'm going to add a little bit more glue to the back just to make sure everything adheres nicely. I've got that mixed media in the background, so I have to make sure I get enough glue on here. Okay, now I am going to look through all of my embellishments and things. And here is that Scrappin Happy Studio flair that I wanted to bring in. And I just want one. I want the one with Charlie Brown because Charlie Brown isn't actually in the photo. It's just Snoopy over there. So I wanted to make sure Charlie Brown made its way onto the page. I like to use a big glue dot on the back of these. And then what I'm doing now is I'm using some thread, and I'm making a little tangled thread mess. And I'm winding it up around my fingers. And then I'm just gonna place it in the center of my glue dot there. And then I'll add another glue dot to the top just to kind of hold it all in place. And then that will allow me to glue it down to my page. So like I said, I want to glue it down to the center of my bow. I thought that was the perfect spot to feature this cute little embellishment that I had been hoarding for a year. I believe she still has some over on the website, so you'll have to check it out. All right, so I got that. Let me look back at the sketch to see if there's anything else that I am missing. Now I need a title. So, and I like these stars. I love this gold. So I do want to bring in some of these stars. I'm going to add them in little clusters of 3. I believe I'm going to do 2 clusters. And then, so one over here on the bottom right, and then I'll do another little cluster on the upper left. So that's going to bring in some of that gold bling. And now back to my title. I'm looking at the sticker sheet. I like the Very Merry, so I immediately am drawn to that. But I really want my title to say something about Charlie Brown and Christmas, because that's what we were at. So I'm looking here. I'm going to look at the sticker sheet. Now, I did find this one that says Merry Christmas. So I'm going to bring in my powder tool, and actually I think I used my powder tool off camera, and I took the stick off of the sticker, and that allows me to move it around like a die cut. Now I'm pointing out here on this sketch that the title is actually on the bottom, but since I've got that big embellishment cluster, I just don't think it looks right down there. So I am going to take the liberty of adjusting the sketch and adding my title above my photo. I really want this photo to pop off, or this title to pop off the page, so I'm adding some foam strips. These are some foam strips that I get off scrapbook.com, and they just make it so easy to add layers of foam. They're sticky on both sides, so you just stick it down, and then you can peel off the release paper, and then boom, super easy to add some dimension. All right, so I've got Merry Christmas, but I want the word Charlie Brown on here as well. So I'm going to look through my dies and see if I can find an alphabet set. I found this one, and this is from Sissix and Tim Holtz. And so I went ahead off camera and put the word Charlie Brown on just a piece of gold cardstock that I had in my stash. I do need to run this back through to get another R. Now these all are lowercase letters, but that's okay because I don't want it to be so big that it like takes over my layout. I just want it to be like a little subtle detail to show that it was Charlie Brown. So I'm going to punch these out, and you'll see this die cutting machine. This is the Spellbinders Scout. This is the Rose Gold Scout, exclusive to scrapbook.com. I love this thing. It cuts like butter. It's so small and it fits right on my desk. Now at first I think I want the title to the bottom, on the bottom, just like where the sketch had it. But as I start laying out these letters, I quickly realize that I just don't like it down there. It's too bold, it's sticking out, and I'm not feeling it. So I will change this, and I'm going to end up changing this and moving it up to the upper right, like up above that title. So you can see here off camera, I did go in and I kind of laid these out up here. Now I'm going to start gluing them down. I am using some Nuvo Deluxe glue. I like this glue because it dries really clear. So if any seeps out onto my gold letters, which you know sometimes when you use this shiny paper like this, you don't want a bunch of gold showing or a bunch of glue showing on the gold. So I went ahead and glued those down off camera. And now on this sketch, there was like this little sketch or stitchy piece. So I used a stitch die from my stash and I am cutting this out. Now I realize that it's not going to fit all the way across. So I'm going to kind of camouflage this and I'm going to hide it behind my Merry Christmas title. So I'm going to bring in my tacky glue and I'm going to mess with this for just a moment. I want to fit it right behind the word Merry Christmas. And then I just need this little piece. Then I can cut another little tiny piece and kind of wedge it in there. I realize it's too big. I got to cut it down again, but I'm going to wedge it in there between right behind this title so that it continues all across the page. I am using a T-square ruler, and this was just a cheapie that I got off of Amazon. I love it. It like hooks on to the side of your paper really well, and it goes, you know, it's 12 by 12, so it's great for scrapbooking. I have a smaller size that I use when I'm making cards, but this one is just perfect for scrapbooking. I used to have one a while back from Close to My Heart, but it's like bulky and it doesn't really work as well on my glass mat. This one, see how it's kind of like sticking to my page? I love that. All right, so I got that finished. I'm just gonna snip off the edges and I'm really happy with how this has turned out. So that's gonna complete my layout. If you've enjoyed today's video, please hit that thumbs up button. If you're new, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. Leave me a comment down below and let me know if you've ever been to a Christmas musical. Be sure to check out all those that are playing along in today's YouTube hop. I will have links to all the products that I used today, and I always appreciate when you shop my links, as I do earn a small commission at no extra charge to you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!